Hi, everybody. This is Lee Bailey, and it's time for the Be Encouraged program. It's 4:30 in the afternoon. Actually, it's 4:38. I'm late as always. I'm going to take off my mask. You like my mask? Yeah, find a cure. All right. So, clap hands a lot. I don't know why. What we're going to talk about today, and I'm going to ask y'all to stay tuned here momentarily, but we're going to talk about love and loss. And loss. How do you deal with that, man? I mean, that's a rough one. And I can only share what I believe and what maybe I've heard from a couple of other people. But it's a difficult thing. And a lot of people don't understand the loss. People lose their car that they've had since they were 16. Breaks down or someone sideswipes it and totals it, and they're distraught. They're effed in their heads. They just can't believe that happened, and they're never going to have that car as the car their dad gave them, and their dad maybe passed away. I mean, there's so many things that are significant to some people and not significant to others. We're going to talk about that, okay? We're going to talk about that today, so stay tuned. Check this. Okay, so one more thing. Doki, everybody. Be Encouraged is back. We're here. Good afternoon and morning, evening, whatever it happens to be around the world. Right now, it's 4:30. That means it's 9:30 in the good old UK. I'm going to send a invite to my friend Glenn because he's got a book out called There Is Only Now. So I'm going to see if that's something that he addressed. I haven't read the book because I haven't gotten a copy of it yet. But I'm going to see if that's something he addresses and see what his take on that is. Glenn Webster. So hopefully he'll be paying attention and jump on with us here about this. But it's a rough, we're talking about people. We're talking about people who's, wow, interesting. We're talking about people who have loved and lost, people who have, and when I say love, it's not romantic love necessarily. It's something, it's a caring kind of love. It's a love that, it's hard to explain this kind of thing. So I want to address this, not specifically because obviously there's some people that I know specifically that are related to what's happening in the world today. Tor Arsala, thank you very much for writing in 800 things. Anyway, so that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about, well, one of the Tor just said he's lost some family members. How do you deal with that? I mean, for instance, one of the things that you might think about as far as addressing loss is, what if you lose somebody that's like your aunt's sister? You know her, you've met her, but she's your aunt's sister. And there's my friend Glenn Webster. Look at him chiming in. And he knew what I meant. What is it, Doc? Are you in your car?
I'm in my car.
I'm sorry, they don't call it a car. They call it an auto. No, that's German.
There you go.
What do they call it in England?
We call it an automobile, man.
Automobile. That's right. Automobile.
I think our roles have been reversed. I think I'm American and you're English.
Yes, I think so too. Except for I always put things in my bonnet. Oh, sorry, that's an English thing too. Anyway. Yeah, the bonnet and the car.
Oh, the bonnet. Yeah. Well, we've got the bonnet is the front. The boot is the back.
Ah, the boot. Yeah.
Yeah. What's the boot called in America?
Trunk.
The trunk. Yeah.
The trunk and the hood.
The hood, that's it.
But I don't know, I don't know if they call it the hood if it's on a car that has a rear end engine.
What about if you live in the hood? Is it still the hood?
Still the hood. Yeah. They have hoods in England? No. What do they call them in England?
What would you call it in London? You would call it
Section 8 housing.
Yeah, I don't know. Actually, that's a very good question. I've never been asked that question, Lee, ever. And
but there is a name for it.
Yeah, you would call it. You would call it not an area. You would call it.
And it's not the slums.
No. The hood would be
like a dangerous area of London. There's got to be a dangerous area of London, even though they say since you guys don't have guns that there's no danger.
Well,
people don't die in England because they don't have guns. Please.
No, we use what we do is we use heavy sarcasm.
Yeah.
And people generally, but I think you'd call it, certainly it'd be a no-go area, but the name for the area, no-go area we would call it.
Is that where all the soccer hooligans live?
Yeah. Well, the word hooligan, that's a fantastic word because it comes from the name of an Irish family called the Hooligans. That's where that word originates.
Oh, okay. All right.
And so when people say he's a hooligan or she's a hooligan, they were called the Hooligans, and they were such an unruly. We're going back. I don't know if we're going back 100 years, 150 years, something like this. But they were the most unruly family called the Hooligans, and the name stuck. Isn't it incredible? Everybody uses it worldwide in English language.
They do.
One day they may say, "Oh, look, he's a Bailey."
Yeah, that's someone who's loving and caring and kind,
and handsome and athletic,
well-spoken.
Absolutely. That's exactly
has a great DJ voice.
Yeah. A voice for radio.
That guy's got a Bailey voice.
And then they'll say, "Oh, there goes a Webster," and I'm not even going to try to describe what that is. But there you go. How are you, Lee? How are you?
Well.
Anyway, the main question: how are you?
I'm well, but the reason I actually called you, friend, is because number one, I want to talk about this.
Oh no! Really?
The reason I want to talk, I haven't gotten a copy yet, so I haven't read it. However, because of the title of the book, I wonder.
Yeah.
I'm having a little bit of a problem. Not a problem.
Okay.
I have a friend who's had a loss in his life.
I see.
And I think other people looking at that loss downplay it, like, "Oh, that's too bad." But why would you feel really, totally sold on it? Yeah. And that would be like, for instance, let's say someone was a huge John Lennon fan.
Yeah.
And when John Lennon died, they lost their poop. I mean, they just went into mourning. What do you, in your book, There Is Only Now, I'm guessing that there's a talk in that book about don't put too much on what has happened or too much on what will happen. We need to work on what's going on right now.
That's exactly right.
I'm guessing the title pretty much tells you what the book's about in most cases.
To an extent.
Except To Kill a Mockingbird. So I don't get the title of that book. But
yeah.
But it's my favorite books. I still don't get the title. But anyway,
To Kill a Mockingbird.
I do understand it. I remember. Yeah. Never mind. We don't have to get into that.
Yeah, I've read To Kill a Mockingbird. It's fantastic. Yeah, fantastic.
Oh, yeah, I've read it several times actually. It's one of my favorite books. And it is my wife's favorite book. One of these days I'm going to find a damn first edition and I'm going to get it for her. Yeah.
Harper Lee. Kill a Mockingbird.
And she wrote another book too that released this year. Yeah. Anyway, we're not going to get into Harper Lee. Super fantastic lady, but no. I want to talk about this. So how did someone get over that kind of loss? This is the way I look at it. And I wanted you to address this after I tell you how I look at it.
Yeah.
Let's use John Lennon as an example.
Yeah.
he was killed suddenly.
Yes.
He died. We have people who, what am I going to do with my life? Even though he was still making music, he pretty much had stopped making music. I mean, he was still doing it, but it wasn't like he was touring and all that kind of stuff. Not like you were going to be able to see him again, or see him more music from him.
Yeah.
So my solace would be, if I was someone who's that big of a fan of John Lennon, is listen, he's gone on to what, if you, depending on your faith system, is a better place. Or you cease to exist. I don't understand how people believe that. But anyway, but the memory of him is what should keep you going. The music that you fell in love with, that he wrote and that he performed, is what should, that's what you love about that person, right? Because you don't know that person. I mean, in some cases, people met him and he was kind and generous to them. But ultimately, they know him because of his music, not because of meeting him. They did not have a relationship status with him.
No, the music was their connection to him.
That was their relationship to him, right? Yeah. So when he died, how do you, let's say, tell that person to not get over it? That's terrible. Yeah. But how do you help them understand that he's just as alive now as he ever was because of his music? You know, he's just as much alive and with you through his music as he ever was. Because you never had, maybe you met him, got an autograph or something like that, but you never knew him outside of his music and maybe interviews. But those are all still there. You know, you can still have that relationship through his old interviews, through his music.
Yes.
So how do you tell somebody, don't fret for John Lennon, don't fret yourself for that loss? It feels like a loss. However, life goes on, you know. What do you say to that?
Is this, Lee, can I just ask you to qualify this? Is this someone who, we're not talking about someone who's lost a close family member. We're talking about someone who has sort of idolizes, or did idolize, or still does idolize.
Yes.
Is it a singer or a film star?
No, this is a guitarist.
A guitarist. And that guitarist,
and I think you know who died this week. Was one of the greatest rock and roll guitarists of all time.
Yeah.
And it was a friend of mine's, very hero.
Right.
So, and he met him, and he's the nicest, and every story you ever heard about him was that he was kind and wonderful and super nice guy. And my friend actually had a chance to meet him, and the guy was very cordial and took the time to talk to him, you know, for a short period of time. And, you know, and this, the news of his death, which was sudden because he'd been dealing with throat cancer for about 8 years, but all of a sudden, boom. I mean, and for me, one of the things that I heard that I think is a blessing is that they were about to release him from the hospital to go into hospice, and he died. And I'm like, well, that's a prayer answered right there. You know, he's about to go into hospice. He's about to have to suffer, and he didn't have to. So
no, you don't. No,
that's fantastic. You know.
So look, my opinion on something like that, and I know I can only try to qualify it with people I know, is that first of all, you're losing someone that isn't a family member, which you've got to separate.
Well, he doesn't have. That's the other thing too. Except for his wife's family, he doesn't have any family. His family is passed. Yeah.
Well, what has he got? He's got the guy's music. He's got more than most people have. He's got the experience of meeting his idol and having that moment, whether it's 1 minute, 5 minutes, half an hour, whatever it was, in his company.
Yeah.
And he's got all those memories leading up to meeting him, which he probably was slightly different to what he thought he's going to be like before he met him, when he met him. And then he's got all the memories afterwards and the music. And all you can say, I think, is that how many people die, Lee, and with absolute respect to everyone, because we're all here for a certain amount of time. We never know. I was only having this conversation earlier today, and it's weird that you've contacted me to come on the show, because I was talking about, or we were talking about with the people I was with, we got on to how, and it wasn't a long conversation, how none of us can decide where we're born, what the colour of our skin is, what country
Right.
we're born in, who our parents are or not, as the case may be, whether we're orphaned. What it is a complete and utter lottery. I mean, number one, if you're born healthy, you're hugely lucky. How many children are born with all sorts of physical and mental ailments, etc.? And then if you've got parents, you're lucky. If you've got two parents, if you've got one parent, you're lucky, because there's a lot of children who, by the time they recognize what's going on, they understand and they find out that they're orphans. You know, there's so many different sort of pigeonholes you can fit into. So I think that this, all I can.
Well, everyone, in case you didn't notice, he kind of froze up and locked up and jumped out, and hopefully he will jump back in here momentarily. And, you know, I don't know why I'm beating around the bush. We're talking about Eddie Van Halen, and, you know, there's a lot of people, if you saw just even a portion of some of the tweets and whatnot from artists around the world and fans around the world, it's a very well-respected, more than well-respected, highly respected musician, perhaps not the greatest guitarist of all time. You're on mute, Glenn, and is that me doing it or you?
Lee, hello.
Oh, there you are. How are you?
Can you
okay.
hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. The camera's off, but that's okay. We can still hear you. So I don't know why I'm beating around the bush. Of course, we're talking about Eddie Van Halen. Can you hear me, Glenn? Uh-oh.
Hello,
Glenn. I hear you.
Can you
hear
Lee?
me?
And I can see you, but I can't hear you.
Okay. I can't see you. Your camera's not on.
Come back in.
Yeah, go out and come back in.
Lee,
go out, and come back in.
Got it.
All right. So, anyway, so I was just getting ready to tell him, you know, this is the, you know, we're talking about someone who's extremely special to me, super special to me, who I believe maybe Eddie Van Halen might have been more special to him than I am, and that's okay. And that's really okay. I mean, but I'm sure that's not the case per se. And let me see here. Okay, so here's my man Glenn Webster's back. Yeah, here we go. Can you hear me now?
Lee, you're not going to believe what happened. My wife rang me because I'm sat outside the house in the car.
And she said, "What the hell are you doing out in the car?"
We're having a romantic night in. We're watching Modern Family, which we love, which is the American comedy series. And I've only recently got into it. And she's thinking, what the hell is he doing? Who's he talking to? Is he having an affair? He's in the car talking to someone, and it looks like he's video streaming. And she rang, so I can only apologize.
So I have a friend, though, that says, hold on now. He said there are some dangerous boroughs in London. They call them. And he said the two London boroughs with the highest rate of gun and knife crime are Southwark and Lambeth.
Southwark and Lambeth, yeah.
And he said other London boroughs with high gun and knife crime rates include Brent, Haringey, Hackney, and Waltham Forest.
Yeah.
I think that's all he wrote.
Yeah. I think. Look, you've got to be wherever you are. You've got to be careful, and there's certain areas.
Isn't that sad?
Yeah, it is sad. It is.
You
Sad.
don't live in Waltham Forest, do you?
No, no. Look, I've just got my Walter PPK. No. I live in southwest London, but no, there's some lovely areas of all those areas.
Yeah.
People aren't walking around, with sort of guns on belts or anything. It's all the problem is we do have New York, and I believe I'm right in saying New York gun crime has increased because it absolutely dropped down to almost zero.
Oh, because of COVID.
Yeah, and it's increased now, but we do have drug related crime and gun related crime, but nothing in comparison to, let's say, New York. And I'm not putting New York down when I say that. I don't know what the figures are, but we have seen it's gone right down. But I think because of COVID. But when people were free and easy, a lot of young black gangs or young black gang members were fighting each other. And what would happen in North London specifically, you would get a 15, 16, 17 or 18-year-old young black guy being chased down the street by a gang of 4 or 5, and he'd be knifed to death. And knife crime is more prevalent. And we went through a spate where it was almost getting to the point of not 1, but 2 or 3 a month. And it was young black guys in gangs chasing each other, and for over God knows what, probably drugs and money and maybe girls.
Sure.
All of this,
Who knows?
Yeah. But anyway, we're going back. So sorry, when I was very rudely interrupted by my wife, and I can only apologise. We were talking about your dear friend who had this.
Eddie Van Halen is the one who died, the guitarist.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I was beating around the bush. My best friend, one of my very, very best friends, his name is BK Blaster, part of the show. He's on the LMB show all the time with me. One of my best friends ever, and he just loves Van Halen, loves Eddie Van Halen, has met him, and now he's very distraught. Sad for him.
Is this the guy that was on your show with a lady? Has he got a beard and a hat?
No. No. That's Billy. I have Bill and I have Billy. And actually, BK is what we call Bill because that's what he is. He does the LMB show with me on Friday nights.
Yeah.
Then on Monday nights we do the trivia show. Tonight we were supposed to do both, but he's not up for it, which I understand. No problem.
Yeah. So I'm your replacement.
Well, no, that's later tonight.
Yeah.
Although you have been staying up late quite a bit lately.
I have. I've been when I see you're on, I've got my phone. I'll come in quickly, but then I haven't been able to stay because I've been too tired.
I understand. It's midnight there.
I'm up with the kids early, and so.
But
I like just sort of saying hello, and
Yeah. It's good. I like for you to say hello. It's fine.
No, so I mean, to answer your question, I think I possibly even already answered it, Lee. I think how everyone deals with grief is a very personal thing, very subjective. And I think of Cormac McCarthy's book, The Road, and why I'm thinking of that is that the father taking his son across a desolate a wasteland where the earth is dying and society has completely collapsed, and there's no food, and
I've seen this movie. I've seen the movie, isn't it? What's his name is the father?
Yeah, I know the actor.
Very popular Australian actor. Maybe he might be English though.
Yeah, he was. He played one of the main characters in Lord of the Rings.
Yes. Yeah. My daughter, my sister is in love with him. I mean, she thinks he's the hottest thing since sliced bread.
That's it, since sliced bread. No,
I'll come up with
the book is the film is fantastic. The book is 100 times better. I think it's one of
always.
It won the Pulitzer Prize, so it's got to be a good book, and it's got 3-4 pages of the most incredible reviews by the world's top journalists, saying it's just. Oh, I mean, I've read it. To me, it's like a poem. But anyway, the point I was going to make was in the book, the father character says to his son, they're talking about death, and he says, "If I'm not here, I'll still be here with you." And he says, the boy says, "How do you mean?" He says, "Well, you can ask me a question, and I'll answer it." And I absolutely get that. And the idea is that that's why I mentioned it for your friend, because if he's met this guitarist, this his idol, and he had, in inverted commas, an intimate, conversation with him. I say intimate as in it was just them two one-on-one. I don't know what happened, obviously, but maybe he feels that there was a connection made where he can even talk to his idol, and he will hear the answer back. And I'm not suggesting that would happen, but I'm taking that from Cormac McCarthy.
I understand. Sure. Well, there's our couple songs out right now. One's a Christian and one's a country, but it's about, and you've heard the song "I'm Already There" it's called. What a great song that was. That came out, of course, right the time that we were having Desert Storm and everything. And Daddy, when you coming home, he says, "I'm already there. Don't worry." So
of course,
and of course it makes you tear up and oh my God, that's so beautiful.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, Lee, the funny thing is for me that I'm 58, and I think I'm not going to say you get to a certain age, but I think you do get to a certain age when you recognize through your own life experiences of what the world truly is about in this life that we have. And I was, again, talking to someone today with my wife. We were talking about how we don't understand how people can, and we've seen this with people we don't know, we've seen this with people we do know, how people can react in a negative way towards people they don't know. And what I mean by that is how people can react by the way someone's dressed, by the color of their hair, by the color of their skin. And it is a natural instinct, I think, in the human condition to suspect. We shake hands with people to say, look, we haven't got a weapon. And
people don't realize that's the reason for shaking hands.
That's it, to say I'm not carrying a weapon, etc. But for me, the interesting thing about, look, all of us have, I'm sure, have been in a position at some stage in our lives where we've been stood next to someone or sat next to someone we don't know who has severely bad body odor. And you go, oh my God, and you want to say something, and you get off the train or the tube, or you get out the taxi, or whatever it is, you move seats in the cinema or whatever it is. But if it was someone you knew, whether it was at work or it was a friend or a family, socially, you would possibly, if you got to know them well enough, I would certainly pull them aside and have a very gentle word when I thought the time was right. But what the point of the conversation we're having today was, we don't understand if we're all the same, and we are all the same.
No, we're not. Not a bit of us are the same.
No. What I mean is, I'm talking about. I'm talking about generally speaking, and I talk about this in my book.
All right.
We're generally speaking the same. We're attached by this force called gravity. We're on this ball of rock spinning, flying through the cosmos, and we're doing that, as you know. We're following the sun like this. We're curling. Yeah. It's absolutely incredible. And if you try to, and I'm not getting into a religious conversation here, but if you try to think about all of it and and everything, so what I'm saying is we've all got the same desires, we've all got the same needs, and irrespective of your culture, your skin color, the language you speak, where you were born, etc. And that's why I think that if people could be, I'm going to say educated, maybe that's the wrong word. If people could be persuaded, maybe is the right word, to communicate with people where they are not attacking that individual who they don't know, I think the world would be a happier place. I think people, even more so these days, which is really ironic, are living in fear. We're in with the most advanced the human species has ever been, with technology, and yet we still have all those same fears and anxieties that are causing us to fight each other, hate each other, etc. And I think if people could be persuaded to the argument of listen to someone, and yes, you're not going to listen to someone if someone is going to challenge you and be aggressive and confrontational towards you. You're going to fight or flight, aren't you? The old fight or flight response.
Yeah.
But even then, wouldn't it be a perfect world if even when people confronted you, and if you think of the Bible and Jesus and all of this sort of thing, where he would stand and he would say, if someone confronted him, and he would turn the other cheek and say, right, you've hit me on that cheek, hit me on this cheek, because he wanted to show that violence and confrontation is not the way. And it's trying to persuade people to be able to look at strangers.
It's
And
not.
have,
It's not so much. And I'm going to jump in real fast, and you keep going.
yeah,
But here's the thing where I think people get messed up
yeah,
in their theological thinkings, is if they have them.
yeah.
As far as Jesus is concerned, he didn't come to say violence, and this is the thing.
Yeah.
He never came to say no to things. He came to say yes to things.
Yeah.
He came to say, this is what you should do, not what
Yeah.
you shouldn't do that. His answer to everybody who would ask him, why should we not do such and such? And he would say, well, here it is. You need to do this.
Yeah.
Love one another.
Yeah.
That old golden rule that goes across almost all religions is love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. Those are the two great commandments that take care of everything else. It takes care of, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't do this.
Yeah, of course.
But if you're loving people, you're not gonna do this. You're not gonna do that.
No. Yeah.
So anyway, I understand what you're saying, though.
Yeah, I think I listen. I think I'm not, and I'll just put this out there. I'm not overly religious myself, but I do absolutely respect everyone's personal belief, and that's something that I think I've always had. And I think maybe that's, I believe in nature and nurture. I believe we're all born a certain way. We're all genetically wired individually and uniquely, and you can unlearn bad things if you have the right upbringing, and you then also can learn and thereby learn good things, but you can also be good and learn bad things and turn from being, and I just think it's so difficult, isn't it? It's so difficult in what is really quite a short period of time that we're on this planet. It's so difficult to be able to try to convince people, or to actually maybe get as much as you give to individuals who you don't really know. I mean, how long does it take? Again, we're having this conversation earlier this week. How long does it take? Honestly, does it take to get to know someone really well? And that's maybe I'm talking.
I don't think you ever can.
Or two. You and I get to know each other. I think it can take a long time to see someone, warts and all. And this is where people who get married quickly, or profess their love for each other early on in the relationship, they find very quickly that they're not suited. They don't have the same. My wife and I very quickly recognized, and I think it was through our own experiences, because my wife was quite a bit younger than me when I married her, and she still is, I guess. She hasn't caught up or anything. What a stupid statement.
I got you.
She's remained the same gap between, but
no, it's just your maturity level has not elevated, and hers is up to yours. Yeah,
that's right.
And passing.
Yeah. Thanks for rubbing that in. Thank you.
Yeah.
So no. Rhonda was 22 when I met her, and I was 37, and I didn't realize she was 22 because she was very well educated and just a wonderful
very
lady.
mature,
and but we recognized, Lee, that we got on almost instantaneously from the moment we met, and when we went out on our first date in London, and I took her to Richmond upon Thames, which is by the River Thames, Richmond upon Thames, the river, and it was in the summer, and we had a beautiful night, and it was all very,
romantic.
Polite. Yeah, and all of that. But we recognised very quickly, and then we went out for a meal the second date, and my brother lent me his open-top Mercedes car, and it was in the summer. And what she loved about me was, she tells me that as soon as I picked her up and she got in the car, I told her this was my brother's car. I didn't pretend it was my car.
Sure.
And she said that really impressed her. When I got her to pay the bill, she wasn't that impressed. But when they got... I'm only kidding.
But darling, I had to pay for petrol.
Yeah, that's right. Petrol. No. When I no, of course I paid the bill. But no, we like the same things. We were very much into films. She adores Goodfellas, the film, Martin Scorsese's film, and I we're having this Chinese meal, and she said, we were quoting. I said, I love gangster films and I love Goodfellas. She said, Goodfellas is my favorite film of all time. She wasn't making it up. I tested her, and she had better knowledge than I did. But the point is that we knew we had the same likes and dislikes, and we the same interests, and we had the same sense of humor. We had the same sense of humor. And I'm going to tell you something now. I've told very few people, other than very close friends and family. And you're a person who's someone like you. I've never told, but I'm going to tell you this. So at the end of our first date in this pub,
someone like me,
someone like you.
But Glenn, we're already brothers.
Listen. I've remembered the name now for a bad area. In Cockney, it's my manor. You're in my manor, son. Now
you're in my manor.
You're in my manor. That means you're in my area.
Yeah,
you come over here to my manor, giving it lights. All right.
Is that how they look, Dan Cockney?
Yeah, that's all right, son.
That's right, okay.
You come round. Wait a minute, I'm trying to get the camera where's my face? There we go. You come round my manor, son. I'll sort you out. All right.
It's in my manor. You're gonna beg out of here. You're not welcome.
That's a very good Cockney accent, Lee.
Thank you. Anyway, I think it has to do with the mouth.
We sat there. We sat there at the end of towards the end of the night, and I said to Rhonda, on this little table for two, and the door was sort of behind it to the right, and it's sun shining. It's in the summer, but it's about it's getting dusk, so the sun's going down, and it's just beautiful. And I said, Rhonda, I've got something. I said, I've really enjoyed tonight. I've really enjoyed it. I'd love to see you again, but with absolute respect, I've just got to tell you something. And I'd rather tell you now, when you hear it from me now, than you find out later, and it may upset you. So, and she's looking at me like that.
I've been in a mental hospital.
Yeah, no, it's worse than that. And I said, look, I'd rather just tell you, and if you don't mind, I'm just going to tell you now, and then you'll hear it from me. And if you get up and walk out the door, it wouldn't surprise me. And I'm looking at her like this, Lee, look, watch. I'm going like this. And she's going like this. She's like that, and I'm like this. So I said, okay. And I kept drawing it out.
I already know what you said. My name's really Bond. James Bond.
Well, you're not far off, actually. Listen to this. You're not far off, but it was worse than that. I said, when I was born, I had a sex change, and my name's really Glenda.
Is that true?
And you know what she did? She looked at me like this. She went like this. She went, I'm like that. I'm like this. Look. And she looked at me like this. And she pushed the chair back, stood up, and I've lost you because my light's gone out. And she was about, Lee, to, 1 second. There you go. I lost the light. So she was about to, she'd got up, pushed the chair back, stood up, grabbed the bag, and she was about to go. And I just caught her. And I just said, I'm only kidding. And she stayed. Can you believe it?
I wouldn't have left. I would have still left. That's not funny. Bye. Yeah. Except for, I would have also gone with the whole scientific thing. Like, there's no way they're going to do a sex change on a baby. There's just no way that's going to happen. You're so full of crap.
I know.
I would have called you on that. That's what I would have said. Oh, you're full of crap.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. So, well, thank God I wouldn't stand in front of you then. But,
so how long have you been? So answer me this.
Yeah.
From the day you met.
Yeah.
When did you propose? How long?
We were together for 4 years before we got married. Yeah.
Oh.
You know why? I'll tell you why, Lee. I think it was for us. It was.
You had to wait for her dad to die.
Yeah, we needed his money. No, well, when you say waiting for him to die, I think that's a subject you and I should have a conversation we should have in private, because I can tell you where he's buried. The police are still looking. But there's a place called Beachy Head, which is where the cliffs are in Dover. If you remember
you guys scattered his ashes, and you weren't allowed to. It's against the law.
Oh, no, it's worse than that. No, I said, why don't you go for a lovely summer drive to Beachy Head? The views are amazing. You can almost see France, because it's the southern tip of England, the White Cliffs of Dover.
And she says, yeah, I grew up here.
And I walked him to the edge of the cliff, and in my back pocket, I had his life insurance policy, and I pushed him off.
Oh, nice.
Oh, no, I didn't. I didn't say. I hope you're not recording this.
Oh yeah, it's live.
Oh, there you go.
It's everything's live. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not on the show. We're not doing a show.
I thought you were going to tell me I pulled out my Walther PK and off he went.
I said to him, father-in-law, I'd like to say a few words. My name's not Glenn Webster. My name's Bond, James Bond.
Right.
That's Sean Connery for you, but you
probably I know
you're
what Scott sounds
like. You're too
like.
young to know who Sean Connery is.
Hey, did you see the video I sent you? Did you see the video I sent you? The little girl, the Scottish girl, who says, "I'm 6 and my mum won't let me go to the pub."
Oh, it's hilarious.
Isn't she Scot, right?
No, she's Irish.
You think so? Oh, okay. I thought maybe she sounded Scot to me because there was words that I didn't understand her really saying, and I was like,
"No, she's saying, mother, you won't let me go to the pub. I'm 6. I'm 6.
You should be letting me. My own mother won't let me go to the pub."
Now, isn't that? Can you imagine when she's 21, when she's 50, when she's 70?
And they play those back for her.
Oh,
yeah.
Amazing.
She's a cutie pie.
Are we on a show now? You're not recording a show, are you? Now?
Oh yeah.
Oh, this is a show.
Sure.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure what we're doing. No, it's all. Listen, I love the flow of the conversation, Lee. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Yes, indeed. We've gone quite a bit over my normal time, but that's okay. I don't like to shut down when I'm in a good rolling mood. So.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
But how are you? Listen, you didn't tell me. How are you feeling yourself?
I feel great. Feel real good. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. I'm feeling nice. I had some blood vessels in this eye that blew.
Yeah.
But they pretty much healed up, so that's good.
Good.
That was all red.
All right. Okay.
I don't feel it. It happens, and it's like
yes. Yeah.
So anyway.
Well, you look good. You look good.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Good.
So Rhonda's still young enough for me, though, too, because I'm only 54.
Yeah, indeed.
But I have you beat because my wife and I met, okay, in the end of August. September.
Yeah.
No, the end of September.
Yeah.
And the reason I know that is we had been seeing each other for all of a week and a half. We talked on the phone for about a week before we met.
Right.
But because I met her on the internet. Yeah. So, or she found me. She didn't have a profile. I did.
Yeah.
And she found me and said, let me see what this dork is like. Anyway, because I said I like to travel, and we haven't really traveled anywhere. She always reminds me of that. Yeah, she thought I was some rich guy who's going to take her to Tahiti or something like that. Anyway, but yeah, we met at the end of September, and I asked her to marry me on December 31st.
Wow.
Yeah. But I also told her early on that we weren't going to date and that I was going to court her. And it was my intention that if everything went well during the courting process was to marry her. And so I said, so I need you to know that right now. I'm not looking to date anybody. Dating doesn't work. I want this to be a permanent long-term relationship. And this is the test out time, you know?
Yeah.
And she didn't go anywhere. So
very good.
Yeah. Worked out pretty well.
Well, listen, that's your lady. You didn't mess her around. You told her straight. She could have walked.
Yeah. And if she had, it'd have been just fine.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's been a growing process. It's been almost 20 years now.
Wow.
And I'm very, happy about that.
So you got married in 2000?
Yeah. We got married. I asked her to marry on, hold on. Yes, with 2000. But I asked her to marry me on the millennial New Year's Eve. And then we went from 1 year from there. So we got married on December 30th.
Yeah.
Oh, because I was going to ask her on the 31st. However, because I was DJing this big millennial party, my dad had arranged and put together. And so I was going to be DJing this party It's being all night, all nighter kind of thing, midnight. Everyone, it's black tie affair, all that kind of stuff. And unfortunately, I told several people that on the strike of midnight, I was going to ask Mary to marry me. So when I was up there setting up and preparing and whatever for this big shindig on the day before, all these people kept walking up. Can't wait till tomorrow night. Can't wait till tomorrow night. And I was like, oh, shit. Excuse my French, but I'm like, oh, God, I don't need all eyes on me, during that.
Yeah.
So that night when I went to pick her up to take her out with some friends that night, I was in her little room in this house. Was her mom's house. Now it's our house. Her mom's still here, but I went into her little changing room downstairs and asked her.
Wow.
And she said, "You're asking me now?" I was like, "Listen, you don't understand. I was going to ask you tomorrow night, but too many people knew." And I'm like, oh. So we went out. I'd already discussed it with her best friend. And of course, I'd already asked her older brother because her dad had died the year before. So I did wait for her dad to die before. No, I'm kidding. I didn't even know her when her dad died. But so I even wrote a letter for her mom to take to her oldest brother.
Yeah.
To, do the whole proper, which you probably didn't do. You probably stole that little 22-year-old right up from underneath their nose.
Oh, I kidnapped and threw in the booth. I didn't mess around. Don't mess around.
Don't mess around.
You're going to do it right.
You pull up with a van, throw in the back and go.
Mum and dad, I remember meeting Rhonda's mum and dad, and yeah, it was lovely. I mean, it was lovely. I felt immediately a part of the family. But again, you have that honeymoon period, and then you've got to get through all of that where they see who you are, you get to see who they are. And it's a bit of a roller coaster ride, isn't it? With anyone, this is how it should be.
Yeah.
And you have those difficult days, weeks, months, which when you're getting to know people, and not with Rhonda, but certainly with family and friends.
No, you're right. I see with Mary hasn't been that way.
You can't do, Lee. You can't pretend to be someone else. You've got to be yourself.
That's right.
And as long as you're polite, respectful, and you just watch your manners, then people have got to allow you to be yourself. Simple as that. Exactly.
On that note, and on the note to my friend who might be watching,
absolutely,
and who I love dearly, you know what, man? You still got him. He's still here. He will forever be here because everyone did not read one negative write-up about, well, good thing he's gone. I'm getting tired of Van Halen. Nothing like that. Everybody, Keith Urban, Brad Paisley, all these country artists and a bunch, and he's not country, but all these country artists talking about how they grew up on Van Halen rock and roll,
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And then they decided to do country, but they all love rocking out, and all the Joe Satriani. Have you heard of him?
Yeah.
Okay. So some people say arguably the best guitarist ever. Yeah. And he said, bow, bow, bow. This is Eddie Van Halen, one of the greatest innovators of rock and roll guitar music ever in the world.
Yeah.
And that's what most people said. Not the greatest guitarist, but one of the greatest innovators of doing stylish and all that stuff.
And guess what? Your friend met him, and how many people who adored this?
Right. I've never met him, and I thought he was great. I'd love to have met him.
Say to your friend, imagine if you hadn't met him and how you're feeling now.
Yeah.
You met him. That is an absolute blessing, isn't it? For goodness sake.
Yes, indeed. My prayers are for him that he gets through this, and he will. It'll be fine.
Of course he will.
He's just had a lot of loss in his life, and and of course there's probably also, I know we've had discussion about him losing me, and and I'm like, well, the shoe's on the other foot now, bud. I don't want you doing anything to yourself or doing something crazy, because I can't I can't imagine without. So anyway, these are the things that I'm care about and think about.
Well, my thoughts across the ocean to him.
Thanks, brother.
Absolutely.
Daniel. Jeez. Is your middle name Daniel?
No, it's David.
David. All right, Glenn David Webster.
I've been called a lot worse.
Indeed, as have I. I've answered to most of those things I've been called as well.
Yes.
So, I have to tell you that story some other time. Some guy one time looked at me and said, "Hey," and he said something nasty, and I went, "Me?" He's like, "Yeah, you." And he wanted me to react, and I said, "Oh, hey." And I went and got in my car and drove away. I'm sure he was like, "I wanted that guy to get mad."
Yeah.
Yeah. But as big as I am, I didn't want to get that guy out of his truck because I'd have to kill him. So, and then that would have put me in jail. That's a bad thing. I don't like that. I used to be a bouncer, and people always saying, "Oh, you think you're so?" I said, "No." I said, "I know I can pick you up and throw you out the front door." But
how tall are you, Lee?
6'3".
Oh my God.
And I weigh 300 plus pounds, but I'm trying to lose that back down to 250, 260, which is where
I've just lost you. Can you hear me? You've just frozen on the screen. Okay, I'm not sure if you can hear me. Your picture is frozen. Shall I go back out and come back in? I'll go back out and come back in. Let me do that. I'll be back shortly.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're still rolling, but Glenn left because my end froze up and he lost me and thought I quit the show. So that's okay. We are done for the day. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining me today. And God bless you. If you've had a loss in your life, hey, man, hit me up on Facebook. We can talk about it if that's something you feel like you want to do and something you should do. If, oh, there he is back. That was my fault. I dropped the computer, went nutso, and decided it didn't want to air this anymore. So we started getting.
You were like this, Lee. You were like this.
Well, you were like this. So which is worse? All right, man. I'll see you later. Take care. Have a great day, and God bless you.
Thanks, Lee.
And have a wonderful evening of bliss with your beautiful bride.
Thank you so well.
And tell her I'm sorry that I held you up.
You're talking as though it's our honeymoon, for goodness sake.
Well, it's a nice romantic evening. You said was all set.
We're going to have a bottle of wine. We're going to watch Modern Family.
Modern Family.
Food. We love Modern Family. I've only got into it recently.
You know what? I love every character on that show. However, I watched the previews. There is one character I don't like, and so he's the guy who once got accused for child abuse or something like that, or he's got the long hair, and I'm not a fan of his. He did have long hair at one point.
Who are we talking about? Which character in it?
I don't even know, man. Skinny white guy. I don't know.
Oh, the guy who plays the dad.
Yeah, maybe.
Head. Yeah. The other one I like as well is Schitt's Creek.
Yeah. No, the guy. Oh, I love those guys. The gay couple, both of them. Love them. Oh my God, they're funny.
Yeah.
And what's his name? Who's the guy? Is it Glenn also? Isn't it named Glenn?
Can't remember.
I can't remember either. He's the guy that's on Ellen all the time. I watch Ellen a lot. I used to watch Ellen a lot. And he's always on Ellen. She always scares him and he almost loses his crap. And anyway, he's also a drummer though in real life.
Really?
And and it was funny because anyway, I love him. He's such a good sport, such a great character. I would love to meet him someday. He seems like a really funny guy.
Yeah.
And so
you know what? I'm going to go, but very quickly. I was trying to get on Ellen with my book.
Yeah, of
I was
course.
seriously trying to get on Ellen with my book, and the connection is my artwork league. Because I think I told you the longest piece of artwork that's ever I've produced that's started in 2003 and finished this year is my piece on the Twin Towers, the planes going in 9/11, and that piece is called Impact. It's a very emotive piece of artwork, but based on my book and doing the artwork for the cover, I'm reaching out, and Ellen. I've tried to communicate. I haven't gone anywhere yet because I'm completely unknown. You know, this is the
Yeah. You need an agent, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's early days, but I'm taking it one step at a time. You know.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Hey, and like I said, if you need someone to to do the audio book for you, let me know.
Absolutely. Where's the?
I'll even use an English accent when I do it, if you'd like me to.
Well,
or I can do an Irish accent too, you know.
As long as you don't use the accent you've just used now, that would be perfect.
I could do a Southern accent if you want me to.
Hey, I'll tell you what.
There's only now.
I want you to do a Southern accent on my book.
I will do one on your book. There's a book called, ladies and gentlemen, this is There's Only Now by Glenn D. Webster. The man said to the girl, "Hey, chicky doodle." Oh, no, sorry. Okay. Anyway. All right, buddy.
Nice to speak to you.
Good always, buddy.
Best wishes to your friend, and I'm sure he's going to be absolutely fine.
I'm sure too. He's a sad bye right now, but I understand why.
You know what he should do? He should reach out to fans of his idol, and he should retell the story of when he met him, the day, the time, and what happened during that meet, what was said, and everything around that. He could just do a story, and he could actually communicate, and that's what he's got to do to get himself out of that pit, in my opinion, anyway.
Indeed. I agree with you. All right, brother. I'll talk to you.